All right, let's dive into something that on the surface seems pretty simple, a game of football. But in Britain, oh, it's so much more. It's like a powerful lens that lets you look right into the national soul. So today, we're going to explore exactly what British football tells us about British identity.
So you gotta ask, right? Why does this game matter so much? How can 90 minutes on a pitch create this kind of intense loyalty, these fierce rivalries, and even shape a person's sense of who they are? We're about to find out why it's always more than just the final score.
Because in Britain, a football pitch isn't just a patch of grass, it's a national stage. Every single weekend, ideas about us and them are played out for everyone to see. It's a place where identity is performed, challenged, and, in the end, maybe even understood.
To really get our heads around this, we're going to break it down. We'll look at the fierce local tribes, the UK's really strange four-team setup, the game's gritty, working-class soul, and then the modern challenge of big, big money.
Okay, first things first, we have to understand that in Britain, football is rarely just about kicking a ball around. It's basically a cultural battleground.
You know, national identity is that invisible thread that kind of ties everyone together. Share traditions, culture, all that stuff. Well, in the UK, that thread is pulled tightest and is most visible inside a football stadium. It's where all the shared pride, the history, and even the anxieties are right there on full display.
And here's what's so interesting. That national identity? It doesn't really start at the top. In Britain, it's built from the ground up, in these little local communities and the tribes that form around them. Think about this for a second. For millions of people in Britain, if you ask, "Who are you?" the first answer isn't about their country, it's about their club. Are you a red? A blue? That loyalty is a core part of their identity, and it gets passed down through generations, like a family heirloom. And these rivalries, wow, they're the absolute lifeblood of local identity. They split families, they divide workplaces. Take the Old Firm derby in Glasgow between Celtic and Rangers. That's not just a football match. It's tangled up in more than a century of religious, political, and social history. It makes it one of the most intense rivalries anywhere on Earth.
Okay, so you have these incredibly intense local loyalties. But then things get even more complicated when you zoom out to the world stage, because the UK, well, it plays by its own unique set of rules.
It's true. You will never, ever see a Team UK playing at the World Cup. Instead, you get 4 separate teams: England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Football basically reflects a political reality. The UK is a union of distinct nations, and each one is fiercely proud of its own identity.
And this isn't some new thing either. These national football associations are some of the oldest in the entire world, founded way back in the 1800s. Their independence isn't just some quirky rule, it is woven into the very fabric of how the sport grew up here.
So why? Why is this loyalty so deep and so intense? To really get that, you have to look at where the game came from, at whose game it really was from the very start.
See, unlike sports like cricket or rugby, football in Britain wasn't born in elite, fancy schools. No, it was forged in the noise and the grit of the Industrial Revolution, in factories, in mines, in shipyards. For working-class people, it was so much more than a game. It was a release, and it was a source of real community pride.
The story of football basically follows the story of industrial Britain, step for step. The first league clubs all came from these booming industrial towns. And then later, during the really tough times in the 1980s when all those industries started to disappear, the football club was often the last symbol of pride left standing, the one thing the entire town could still rally behind.
But that strong local working-class identity, it's now on a collision course with a hugely powerful new force: global money.
Just look at that number, £10.5 billion. That's the value of the Premier League's TV rights. A game that was once for factory workers on a Saturday afternoon has become a massive, global entertainment business.
And this brings us right to the central tension in British football today. The game is bigger, richer, more popular than it has ever been. But has all that success come at a price? Is it losing its authentic, community-based soul in the process?
I mean, the contrast is just stark. We've gone from clubs that were pillars of their local community to these massive global brands. The audience isn't just the people in town anymore. It's billions of people watching on TV all over the world. And the goal has shifted from representing a place to building a global brand.
So, we're left with this huge question.
For over a century, football was like a mirror, reflecting what British identity was. But now, in this new era of global money, has it become a projector instead, shaping a new, more commercialized identity for the whole